Back with another episode. Today I will be reviewing Oppenheimer, which is written and directed by Christopher Nolan and is based off the 2005 biography American Prometheus. So this movie stars Cillian Murphy, who portrays J. Robert Oppenheimer, who is known as the father of the atomic bomb. This movie is basically a biopic following his life leading up to the Manhattan Project, him actually doing the Manhattan Project, and what comes after the Manhattan Project. The movie had an all-star casting, great casting with a lot of familiar faces. Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Dane DeHaan, Kenneth Branagh, Rami Malek, Florence Pugh, Josh Peck, David Dastmalchian, and of course, Cillian Murphy. Cillian is brilliant in his portrayal of J. Robert Oppenheimer. The way his eyes pierce, completely embodying that feeling of doubt and despair that he feels later on in the film, whether it's with a blank stare or through dialogue. His performance in this movie is an emotionally heavy and conflicted performance. So Christopher Nolan and Cillian Murphy do a great job of making Oppenheimer a relatable, neutral type of guy. He doesn't really care too much about the war or to pick sides. He's just a genius scientist who had an idea, which is why it makes it so much worse when he becomes the guy who's like, hey, I just wanted to save the world, and now it's worse because of me, you know? It's easy to be like, father of the atomic bomb, you know, but this movie does a great job of diving into the perspective or the mentality of someone. Like, what does that do to someone mentally who created the device that killed so many people? Like, does this person have any regret? How does this person sleep at night? Does this person sleep at night? What does it do to that person's personal life? How do people view him after this? Or it's just so many things. And Cillian Murphy's performance is spectacular. He does a great job of making you feel all of those emotions. Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Louis Strauss was impactful. He did a really good job. I can appreciate that because we all know Robert Downey Jr. Has made a fortune from Marvel. So he probably never has to act again a day in his life. So for him to take this role so seriously and nail it the way he did, I can appreciate that. You know, it's like he wanted to show the world that he's not limited just to Iron Man. You know, like I was that guy before Marvel. So he did a good job. I can appreciate that. Another cool thing about the movie is Nolan's approach with the visual effects. They are all in-camera practical effects, means basically there's no CGI, no computer-generated images nowhere in the movie, not even in the nuke scene. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, the explosion that you see in the bomb scene is an actual explosion. So that's pretty cool to me. You know, the scenes where you can see Oppenheimer in his head, you can see what he thinks and how he views space, supernova, quantum theory, atoms. The sounds you hear, it feels practical. It feels like it's something really in this world. It feels tangible, you know? Another thing I can appreciate about this movie is the fact that it doesn't revolve just around the bomb scene, you know? This movie is about J. Robert Oppenheimer, like the person, the individual. You know, it's not just about that one scene. It's about what he did before the Manhattan Project, during the Manhattan Project, which is the bombing, and after, what came afterwards, you know? So this movie is properly titled, you know, it's about Oppenheimer. Nolan did a good job of making it where it's like, okay, we know you want to see the bomb scene and we're going to make it look really, really cool, but that's not what this movie is really about. That's not what's most important in a way, you know. What I remember from the bomb scene is Cillian Murphy's expression. So when the bomb went off, like you could start seeing those thoughts of regret and doubt and despair in his face, you know. Cillian Murphy did a great job. Again, I just want to acknowledge and highlight the full range of Cillian Murphy's performance over the course of a 3-hour movie. He goes from a self-assured, confident genius with the world in the palm of his hands, transforms into a tortured, isolated, older man filled with regret. And Cillian Murphy does a great job of showing that. Yeah, so Oppenheimer is 3 hours. I know a lot of people may have a problem with that. You know, it's a long movie, and the movie is a little long. The first and the last hour were the strong points, in my opinion. The middle was just a little slow, but I'm not mad at it though, because honestly, you could tell that Christopher Nolan didn't want to trivialize this very serious subject matter by making it just fun to watch. You know, take your time, tell a good story. He gives us a traditional character and dialogue driven story about a very troubling time in our US history. If it takes 3 hours to tell that story, that's just what it is. Like, I appreciate that, honestly. My favorite scene in the movie is the ending. The ending was phenomenal. I really liked how they got into the conversation between Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein. It was like a big thing throughout the whole movie. Like, what did they talk about? How come when Robert Downey Jr. walked up, Einstein walked away? So you finally got the answers to those questions. But at the end, Cillian Murphy perfectly executes how Oppenheimer feels guilty with himself. It's like a fight with his inner self. He's imagining the destruction he's caused, the things he's done. It almost raises the question, like, are you with or against Oppenheimer? Like, did he do the right thing? Is he the bad guy? Is he the good guy? You know, just a self-reflection type of thing. The core conflict is humanity's power surpassing our control. Like, we making beds that we can't sleep in, basically. And I just like the end, the score, the tension. It's a haunting type of vibe. It's atmospheric. The score is beautiful in this movie. And again, man, the look on Cillian Murphy's face, you could just see the regret he has for creating an atomic bomb for humanity. It's haunting, you know? Yeah, so all in all, Oppenheimer was a good movie. I give it about an 8 out of 10. Pretty solid movie. I will watch it again. Thank you for supporting, as always. Thank you for watching. And in the comment section, please leave a comment on what you thought about the movie. Oh, I almost forgot. At the end, at the end, I think it was cool how it had like a direct parallel correlation to the beginning. In the beginning, you can see Oppenheimer looking down at the raindrops, and it kind of creates like these little circular figures or shapes or whatever. And it's kind of like a foreshadowing moment of the explosions that like have the same shape, that create the same shape. So it was cool to see that in the beginning, and then at the end when you see him imagining all of these destructions and missiles and stuff going off. So I just didn't want to leave the video without saying that.